Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
And then there's abortion, a tough issue for Democrats to lose on, but they seem to be managing. For decades, liberals have said, if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. It's been nearly a year since Bill Maher launched his full-scale critique of the woke movement. And here's a spoiler. He's not slowing down anytime soon. His latest target? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's been crisscrossing the country like a progressive GPS, spreading her activist message. But Maher isn't buying. As always, hit that subscribe button.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
So here's how it all began. Bill Maher did what he's known for, asking the tough, uncomfortable questions. This time his focus was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her relentless push for a far-left agenda. One that, let's be honest, more and more Americans are turning away from. Maher openly questioned why anyone would continue pushing a political ideology that's widely seen as toxic, polarizing, and out of touch with everyday Americans. A reasonable person might pause, reflect, and maybe even adjust course, but not AOC. Nope, she's convinced she holds the moral high ground and seems perfectly fine imposing her Latinx-labeled vision onto America, whether the country is on board or not. But here's the kicker. Maher isn't done. What he delivers next isn't just criticism, it's a precise dismantle, a rhetorical takedown that leaves no room for spin, no space for social media cleanup. And trust me, you'll want to catch every second. Stay tuned, because this is where it gets savage, and then there's abortion, a tough issue for Democrats to lose on. But somehow they're managing. For decades, liberals have said, if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. Abortion rights are women's rights. Well, apparently that's no longer the case. Or as the kids say, hold up. Today, the woke wing of the progressive movement shies away from even using the word women. Instead, they prefer terms like birthing people. And right there is the hill Democrats have chosen to die on, the refusal to clearly define what a woman is. 10 years ago, this wasn't even up for debate. Everyone understood that a woman menstruates, can become pregnant, and can give birth. That was biology, not ideology. Then came the progressive overhaul. Suddenly, men could be women. Gender became fluid, and questioning any of it made you a bigot. Americans weren't having it. They pushed back. They asked basic, sincere questions, and were met with scolding lectures, cancellations, and elitist sneers from ivory towers and coastal echo chambers, while the left clung to their...
And more of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel.
And that right there is what happens when you keep backing people into a corner. Sooner or later, they push back. And not in the way you'd expect. AOC and her party marched through deep blue states like they had a political blank check. Untouchable, unquestionable, unstoppable. They assumed they could ram through any radical policy, confident their base would follow, no matter how extreme. But they miscalculated. What they never anticipated was the silent revolt. Voters who once applauded, them suddenly turning on a dime, fast and without warning. And where did those voters go? Straight to the GOP. That's right, the very crowd AOC spent years vilifying, This wasn't a slow drift. It was a political earthquake. Overnight, former supporters became outspoken critics, and those Democratic strongholds, they're now showing serious fractures. Now the big question is this just a temporary...
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why."
Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer. Now, if you've been scratching your head wondering why Maher keeps dropping lines like "my lawyer" and "their lawyer," don't overthink it. This isn't about a courtroom drama. It's political theater at its sharpest. What Maher is really getting at is brutally simple. Voters want their elected officials to be their advocates, their defenders, their voice. In short, their lawyer, not someone arguing for the other side. And here's where the hammer comes down. AOC and her progressive allies seem to have missed that memo. Instead of standing with the people, they've been talking down to them, lecturing, grandstanding, and pushing policies that make voters ask, whose side are you even on? Maher isn't just calling this out. He's building a case, piece by piece, one jab at a time. He's exposing the widening gap between what voters expect and what these so-called representatives actually deliver. The irony? AOC may speak like she's championing the underdog, but in the courtroom of public opinion,
if you're a parent and wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher, yeah, you're going to say, "Congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer. The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot. So I may be looking for new representation."
it wasn't just Latino voters that AOC and her progressive allies managed to alienate. They also struck a nerve with something even more fundamental. Our education system, and the fallout has been brutal. Let's just say this report card has failure written all over it. A few years ago, with the Biden administration leading the charge and the far left cheering them on, new policies were pushed that made it significantly harder to remove underperforming teachers. Sounds noble in theory, right? In practice, it handcuffs school administrators across the country. The result? A free fall in student achievement. According to the nation's report card, average math scores for 13-year-olds plummeted 9 points between 2020 and 2023, the biggest drop in half a century. Reading scores dropped by 4 points. And the teachers at the heart of this collapse? Shielded like priceless artifacts. So while AOC fires up crowds with buzzwords and Bernie Sanders echoes the same tired class warfare chants, parents are left staring at their kids' grades wondering, where? Did it all go wrong? This isn't just a policy failure, it's a